What's going on, guys? Cam from All Nation here. Today we're going to be talking about the new metal band Korn and how they single-handedly invented a subgenre of metal and rose to become one of the most influential bands in metal. Korn is a new metal band from Bakersfield, California, being formed in 1993 by guitarist James Schaefer, aka Monkey, bassist Reginald Arizu, aka P.o.d, and drummer David Silveria. Before Korn, those three guys formed the band P.o.d with their lead vocalist. No, not Jonathan Davis. Instead, his name is Richard Moreau. David Silveria joined them at the ripe young age of 16, and the band would set sail to Los Angeles where stars are made. I think. Monkey would stay in Bakersfield while Silveria would drop out of high school. Imagine if Korn didn't take off. He'd be fucked. Monkey would reunite with P.o.d and find a manager to help them release the EP Love and Peace Dude in 1989 under XXX Records. That really sounds like a porn company. I did research though. They had one hell of a roster including Jane's Addiction, Social Distortion, Dr. Dre, Adolescence, and many others. P.o.d released their debut album in 1991 titled Who's Laughing Now? Shortly after, Moreau would step down from lead vocalist and P.o.d would change their name to Creep. They would enlist a new vocalist, still not Jonathan Davis, just a guy named Corey. Then, finally, Jonathan Davis would join the band alongside Brian Welch, aka Head. They changed their name to the iconic name everybody knows now, Korn. The band will be recommended the name Korn, although Monkey would shut it down, but later on replaced the C with a K and flipped the R the other way, drawing inspiration from Toys R Us, in which many of the band members worked at previously to Korn. Jonathan Davis designed the iconic logo. David Silveria said the music makes the name, because Korn's a dumb name, but once we get established, it makes the name cool. Not a bad take. Korn rented the studio Underground Chicken Sound, where they'd host a series of chicken fights. I wish I was serious. There were numerous fans loitering outside the studio, and Korn began playing a prelude to the song Clown, and the crowd kept getting larger because of its uniqueness. They started doing shows in the summertime of 1993, with the members hating it, citing it as a pain in the ass, which makes me wonder why they're still going at 56. An A&R employee of Immortal Records discovered Korn, claiming Korn's music was a new genre of rock, which is very accurate. Look back at their music compared to anything else that came before it. It's completely different. I mean, you can factor in Mr. Bungle. Other than that, there's nothing else that is remotely similar. Korn released their first ever demo titled Niedermeyer's Mind, which was received negatively. I honestly can't blame critics for this take. It was just terrible demo versions of songs from their self-titled album, excluding This Broken Soul and Layla. Jonathan Davis's vocals weren't good like they are now. It sounded like the band recorded the songs through a potato. There were no good qualities about this demo. Although the demo was bad, it was a start and a new sound for metal. It would land them a gig with House of Pain and Biohazard, which is a win for Korn. In 1994, Korn started the recording process of their self-titled debut album with producer Ross Robinson. He also produced for Slipknot and Limp Bizkit, so kind of made a name for himself. By October of 1994, the album was complete. Immortal Records would release the album. Korn's debut album would go on to peak at number 1 on the Billboard Heat Seekers chart. No idea what that is. It peaked at number 1 though. One I do know is Billboard 200, which their album would peak at 72 on, which is solid for a debut album. Although it did take a couple years. Unlike their demo, critics actually fucked with this one, citing it as a new wave of metal, which is the greatest take a critic has ever made. I think Immortal Records had it out for Korn, as during their first tour, they gifted them a tour bus that would break down on them later on. It feels like a sick joke. Their tour also didn't do jack shit for their new album, so now they're without a bus and a popular album. Great work. Korn would do a tour with the hardcore band Sick of It All in 1995. If you couldn't tell by now, Korn was all over the place of touring. They toured with rappers, hardcore bands. What's next, a thrash band? Oh, fuck. Korn would go on their first European tour, later on would support Ozzy Osbourne alongside another up-and-coming band, Deftones. I'm gonna have to ask Doc Brown to build me a DeLorean so I can go back in time for this one. Not gonna lie. Korn's first album would end up being certified gold, later on double platinum. About time they see some success. They would release songs as singles from their self-titled album, including Blind, Clown, and Chutes and Ladders. There's better deep cuts on this album, though, such as Ball Tongue, Divine, Predictable, even Daddy, although it's a very dark song. Blind would peak on a Canadian chart at number 15, making it the first and only single off of that album to see some charting action. I don't know why I just said that. After breaking out as much as they did after the first album, they would hit that studio again to record their second album, Life is Peachy. In my opinion, this is a top 3 Korn album. Life is Peachy was released on October 15th, 1996, and would debut at number 3 on the Billboard 200. Amazing what you can do without being played on the radio. Life is Peachy sold over 106,000 copies within its first week and would go double platinum in the US and gold in Canada. I told you guys this album was great. No Place to Hide would get them a Grammy nomination for Best Metal Performance. Adidas would peak on number 13 on the Bubbling Under Hot 100. No, the song is not about the shoe brand. There's other really, really great songs on this one, though, that I'd highly recommend checking out. The cover by Ice Cube, Wicked, that's a really good one. Don't mind stuttering. Talking a lot in this video. Another really, really solid one is Mr. Rogers. Ass Itch is even pretty solid. Chai, the best song. Actually, I lied. Good God's in there. There's a lot of bangers on Life is Peachy. In 1997, Korn would release a promotional disc to promote Life is Peachy and their tour for Incubus and The Urge. Korn would do Lollapalooza 1997 with Tool, but unfortunately they would have to cancel their tour after Monkey would get sick. But during the rest of the year, Jonathan Davis started his own label, Elementary Records, ending their run with Immortal and even signing another band, Orgy. Not a big fan, but I do respect it. In 1998, a high school student from Michigan would be suspended from school for wearing a Korn shirt, with the principal claiming how vulgar, indecent, and insulting Korn's music is. A Michigan radio station would start handing free Korn shirts out in response until the cops were called, who in turn started handing out shirts too. This is the biggest fuck you to the school board. Gotta love it. Korn would sign a publishing contract with Warner Chappell Music and ask Adidas for a partnership now that they were no longer partnering with Run DMC. Adidas refused due to the fact that they do sports, not music. A little racist towards whites, don't you think? Puma would come in and offer Korn a contract instead for $500,000 and offering to put Korn's music in their ads, so I'd say Korn won anyways. Korn would start a web show titled Korn TV that would show the recording process for their next album, Follow the Leader, along with special guests such as Limp Bizkit and 311. Korn would release their album Follow the Leader in August 1998, which is a great album with awesome deep cuts such as Pretty, Dead Bodies Everywhere, fan favorite, It's On, and of course, Children of the Corn with Ice Cube. This album was pretty stacked for singles, as it had Freak on the Leash and Got to Life, and then All in the Family, for whatever reason. Korn will go on the tour for Follow the Leader, which is more of a political themed tour. Every show that they do, fans would have a chance to talk to the band, as well as get autographs. I would give to meet Korn. Sorry, fangirling. Korn would do the first ever Family Values tour with Rammstein, Limp Bizkit, Ice Cube, and Orgy. This would be fucking sick to go to. Follow the Leader would debut at number 1 on the Billboard 200, selling 268,000 copies in its first week. Freak on a Leash and Got the Life were regularly played on MTV, and Freak on a Leash would win a Grammy for Best Music Video, along with several MTV Video Awards. Truly an impressive accomplishment. Just wait till you hear all the bands influenced by Korn. Korn would sign with a new publisher, Zomba Music Group. Follow the Leader would end up being Korn's most successful album, selling 10 million copies worldwide and going 5 times platinum. Korn would start recording their 4th album, Issues, my personal favorite, which holds a very, very special place in my heart as it's the first CD I owned when I was 7. To go back to all the times I blasted Falling Away From Me in my room. Really, really pissed off my mom back then. Issues will be produced by the producer Brendan O'Brien, who's the real deal. He produced for numerous bands such as The Offspring, AC/DC, Rage Against the Machine, and the list just goes on and on. Korn would release Issues on November 16th, 1999. It was a tough day to release an album this day. Listen to all the other albums being released. Metallica's S&M live album, by the way. Californication by Red Hot Chili Peppers. Enema of the State by Blink-182. Fucking wild. Despite the odds being stacked against Korn, Issues would debut at number 1 on the Billboard 200, selling over 570,000 copies, even beating 2001 by Dr. Dre. To all the 2000s kids like myself, we will never ever see a metal band beat out a rapper. I can almost guarantee it. Those songs like Beg For Me, Trash, Make Me Bad, Counting, personal favorite off the album. Somebody, Someone, it's hard to argue that it deserves that spot. Korn would perform Issues in whole at the Apollo Theater and broadcast it to the world through multiple radio stations. I must say, if you guys haven't seen this performance, it's 1000% worth a watch. They sounded amazing. Korn will be featured on an episode of South Park. Falling Away From Me would make it number 99 on the Billboard Hot 100. Making Me Bad would peak at 14 on the Bubbling Under Hot 100. They would release a handful of music videos, of one of them being directed by Fred Durst. It's Falling Away From Me, by the way. Really shows how much of a sick bastard Fred Durst is. Ugh, fucking Fred. Issues would be certified 3 times platinum, and the clothing brand P.o.d would start up a partnership with Korn. I guess every clothing brand except Adidas wanted it on this Korn cob. Ugh, bad joke. In June of 2002, Korn had released their 5th project titled Untouchables. I know I'm a huge Korn fan, but this album just is not good. Here to Stay is a banger. Bottled Up Inside is okay. Other than that, they would have been better off releasing nothing at all. With the album not being their best work, to put it nicely, it would still sell 434,000 copies and debut at number 200 on Billboard 200. Korn would then blame music piracy for the decline in album sales, citing how it leaked 3 months prior by the radio show titled The Opie and Anthony Show. It was on Sirius XM before it was Sirius XM, I guess. It was just Sirius at this time. Let me just say, though, Korn would be correct if the album was actually good. Maybe people would have bought it if it was a good album. I think I make a good point there. Their songs would go on to play on this radio show until they would receive a cease and desist order from Sony themselves. Shit. Korn would experiment on the Untouchables more than they have in the past, and Here to Stay would gain them a Grammy for Best Metal Performance. I honestly don't have much else to say about this album. On to the 6th. This one is titled Take a Look in the Mirror, and to avoid leaks, they would release it 3 days early. I'm gonna say I do not get the hate for this one whatsoever. I've always enjoyed Take a Look in the Mirror. There's so many good songs on it. Right Now, Did My Time, Breaks Them Off, Counting on Me, Here It Comes Again. Even Y'all Wanna Single is fucking great. I mean, it's corny, no pun intended. It's good though. Despite Korn's efforts to boost their sales on this one, Take a Look in the Mirror would only sell just under 200,000 copies. Is this Korn's downfall, or will they come back? Let's see. Korn would save money on this one, producing the album by themselves. Smart choice, although you can hear the production quality decline. Jonathan Davis would cite the album being about love, hate, his hate for people, and losing his mind. Sounds like every metalcore song. Did My Time will be used for promotion of a Tomb Raider movie. I don't know which one, I can't remember off the top of my head, but it was on a Tomb Raider movie. Not in the movie itself, just promotion. There was some issue with licensing, I can't quite remember. We'll move on. It would debut at 38 on the Billboard Hot 100, making it Korn's only top 40 hit in the US on the chart. Korn would even get nominated for a Grammy for Best Metal Performance, which they unfortunately lost, but only a handful of bands make it there anyways. Who the fuck cares? Korn would put out a greatest hits album and would debut at 4 on Billboard. It would sell over 130,000 copies and would include their cover of Word Up. You guys like a little R&B Korn action? Word Up would reach 23 on the Bubbling Under Hot 100 chart. Korn would release a live album titled Korn Live at CBGB. Unfortunately, though, in 2005, guitarist Head would leave the band after finding God. Not at the bottom of a bottle, but at the end of a meth pipe. Believe it or not, that's legit. Head would later state in an interview in 2013 that they were going to kick P.o.d out because his girlfriend was being a toxic bitch. Korn were at the point of finishing lines of a certain white nose candy so they wouldn't have issues crossing borders. Sounds like some wild times. Now, without their lead guitarist and fulfilling their contract with Sony, Korn would score a new publishing deal along with a new label, Virgin Records. A Christian label Head would sign them up to. I'm just kidding. Head's out of the picture. For now, at least. Korn would get paid the big bucks by Virgin Records, a solid $25 million. All Virgin Records wanted was just a share of 2 albums' profits, 30% of Korn's ticket sales and licensing, a share of their tour revenue and merch revenue. Not bad. Just a little selling your soul going on there. Korn would release their first album under Virgin Records, See You on the Other Side, taking on a more radio-friendly sound of songs like Coming Undone and Twisted Transistor. Sorry. Speaking is rough today with this long-ass video. By the way, on this album, there's only one good deep cut, Souvenir. So there's like 3 good ones on a 14-track album. Fucking Korn, am I right? Even though See You on the Other Side is very mid, it would still debut at 3 on Billboard 200, selling more copies than their recent albums. I guess that's a plus. If you guys haven't seen the video for Twisted Transistor, I recommend checking it out. It portrays Lil Jon, David Banner, Snoop Dogg, and Exhibit as Korn. You can definitely tell Korn are rap fans at this point. They have a song with Ice Cube, a video with these rappers. They have a cover of an Ice Cube song, a song with Nas, a song with, I think it's the guy from Tribe Called Quest. I could be wrong. Don't quote me on this. I think it's on Follow the Leader. I can't quite remember exactly. Twisted Transistor and Coming Undone would both reach the Billboard Hot 100 at 64 and 79. See You on the Other Side would go platinum and hit 2.2 million copies sold by 2007. Crazy for this letdown of an album. Korn would do a tour for the album with 10 Years and Mudvayne, and along with this, Bakersfield, California would officially get a holiday for Korn called Korn Day. Wow. Fucking wow. In April 2006, the Family Values Tour would be resurrected with bands Deftones, Flyleaf, Dirt and Grey, and Stone Sour. Not as good as the original, still solid though. And yes, they did it again in 2007 with Evanescence, Hell Yeah, Atreyu, and Trivium. Oh yeah, Flyleaf was there again. Who the hell cares? Unfortunately for Korn, Jonathan Davis would suffer a serious illness, hospitalizing him, preventing him from performing at Download Festival. That did not stop Korn, as they would still perform with notable vocalists Corey Taylor, Matt Heafy, and M. Shadows. And not gonna lie, this still sounds pretty badass. Korn would cancel the remainder of their European tour, including Hellfest. Can't blame him. Jonathan Davis was suffering a serious life-threatening illness. I'm glad that he got treated and everything went smoothly with that. In December 2006, David Silveria would go on an indefinite hiatus from Korn, which we know now would have been better off just saying, hey guys, go fuck yourselves. Korn would perform on MTV Unplugged, would do a whole show, release a CD, only sell 50,000 copies. Not as many as Nirvana, still not bad though. Korn would once again release another mid-album titled with no title. Yeah, I'm not joking. It's actually called Untitled. That's how you know this one's a disappointment. Despite the further decline in quality, Untitled would debut at 2 on the Billboard 200, selling 123,000 copies in its first week. Surprising with its only 2 good songs, Hold On and Evolution. Unfortunately, Untitled would only go gold, not platinum, which might just make Korn fix their quality. Oh shit, never mind. Korn's deal with Virgin Records would end, and Korn would bring keyboardist Zach Baird to tour with them. Sorry if I said his name wrong. I'm not good with saying names of guys I don't know. Korn would bring 2 part-time drummers, including Brooks from Bad Religion and Terry Bozzio. Slipknot's Joey Jordison would do live shows of Korn, which definitely sped up their songs. Let me show you real quick. Korn would later bring on a permanent drummer, Ray Luzier, fellow Pittsburgh guy like myself. I know he's from Pittsburgh and everything. As much as I would like to say he's great, David Silveria really killed it with the original Korn projects. Evolution and Hold On would be released as singles, and a third titled Kiss, which is fucking awful. To make matters worse, Korn would do a cover for A Nightmare Before Christmas, or a reimagined album, I guess. We kidnapped the Sandy Claus. God damn it, Korn. In turn, Marilyn Manson did do a pretty good cover of This Is Halloween. Not gonna lie, definitely check that shit out. Korn will make a song for the Ubisoft game Haze. Haven't played it? Me neither. We're in the same boat. Korn released a live DVD titled Live at Montreux 2004, which is honestly pretty good. Unfortunately, though, Chai Chang, the bassist for Deftones, will get into a car accident in November of 2008, sending him into a coma, and Head would make a song for Chai featuring Jim Root of Stone Sour and Slipknot, Clint Lowry of Sevendust, and Dave McClain of Machine Head. The song was made to earn money for Chai. Unfortunately, Chai Chang would remain in a coma until 2013, where he would pass away from a cardiac arrest. Moving away from tragedy, in March 2010, Korn would announce a Ballroom Blitz tour and revealed a new album, Korn 3, Remember Who You Are. Fun fact, even though it's not Korn's third album, period, it is their third album with Ross Robinson. Hence the name Korn 3. Just pretty cool fun fact. I don't know how many people actually know. And by the way, Ross Robinson, he could not fix this atrocious album. I know I sound like I'm being harsh, but this is 3 albums in a row now. It should not be this hard to make a decent album now, but I don't know, at this point maybe they should just retire. Korn was signed to Roadrunner Records, who basically signed every single other band, including Slipknot, Nickelback, Stained, Kiss, Rob Zombie, Megadeth, Mastodon. I'd go on, but there's just still so many others. Jonathan Davis was set for Roadrunner due to their artist-first mentality and all the other great bands they had signed at the time. A stacked roster, trust me. They released their first single, Ullerdale, which would be the first song to make it onto streaming platforms for Korn. As well as this, Ullerdale would be played worldwide on rock radio and would become a top 10 hit song on the Billboard Mainstream Rock Airplay chart. Really shows how lackluster rock was in 2010. Ullerdale was this fucking big. Shit. On top of this, the music video for the song got its own spectacular premiere on MTV2, not MTV1, MTV2. I don't know what that is. I'm so happy I don't have cable. Korn 3 was released on July 13th, 2010, and would reach number 2 on the Billboard 200. Would reach 63,000 purchases. Not saying purchases rather than copies, because we have iTunes now. It's just fucking bullshit. I wish we still had to rely on CDs now. Not gonna lie. Let the Go Go would be the second single off the album. probably the best song off of it and would reach 23 on the mainstream rock chart. If it wasn't obvious that this album was terrible, a third single, Pop a Pill, was supposed to be released, but their previous singles are so bad that Roadrunner Records literally told Korn to stick it up their ass. Not in those words, but kind of. Korn co-headlined Music as a Weapon 5 alongside Disturbed, Sevendust, and In This Moment. Now we're going to jump into 2011. I have to ask, do you guys think Korn's going to drop something crazy? Maybe try groove metal this time around? Maybe dubstep? Let me tell you, they dropped a great dubstep album. I can't even say it with a straight face. Their 10th album, The Path of Totality, was released on December 6, 2011, and was their final album under Roadrunner Records. Can't blame Roadrunner, I would not keep them either after this. Due to features from Skrillex, Kill the Noise, and Noisia, The Path of Totality would reach number 10 on the Billboard 200, with 55,000 purchases. By the way, there's only 2 good ones on this. That is Narcissistic Cannibal and Get Up. I would trade them off quickly for anything else other than this. Get Up would peak at 8 on the Bubbling Under Hot 100 and would go gold in the US. Narcissistic Cannibal was the second single. I have nothing to say about it other than it's kinda catchy. And there's less bass, more Skrillex. Korn reduced some festivals and go on a tour to promote the album, with the show having 3 sections. Are Korn doing opera shows now? Like, why are they splitting up their show in 3 sections? They would make a live DVD from Hollywood Palladium showing the world their opera performance. I'm just kidding, but it sounds like it. 3 fucking sections, intermissions in between those, hour-long intermissions. One saving grace is it was released by Shell Factory. That's something. I mean, I'm a Scream Factory fan. I'm into collecting horror Blu-rays. So that's badass. The Path of Totality would win Album of the Year at the 2012 edition of Revolver Golden Gods, and at the 2011 Kerrang Awards, Korn would be inducted into their Hall of Fame. Some uplifting news is that Head would rejoin for a one-off performance of Blind. That is epic. But cool thing is, Head would decide to actually join later on. Shit, I'm spoiling it. Korn would release their 11th album independently and release it independently as well. I'm sure no labels wanted Korn at this point. Monkey did say, though, this next album will be heavier and more in your face, which is honestly correct. In November 2012, P.o.d knocked up his wife, so in turn, Korn needed a replacement so P.o.d could be with her during her pregnancy. Korn brought Mudvayne bassist to help with live shows. Head would officially rejoin Korn temporarily for Rock 'em Ring and Rock 'em Park, but ended up staying for good. Fuck yeah. Korn would work with producer Don Gilmore for their next album, and Korn would sign with Caroline Records. I bet Head's return might have helped with this. Expectations will be made high of this one, as the entire band is saying this album is going to be great. We're going to see about that. On August 12, 2013, Korn released a disappointing single, Never Never, and Korn did an episode of Guitar Center Sessions, and in October of 2013, Korn was inducted into Hollywood's very own Rock Walk. Korn's 11th album, The Paradigm Shift, will be released on October 8th, 2013. Guess what? This one actually didn't suck. With songs like Victimize, Pray For Me, Love and Meth, this album actually kicks ass. Alongside this awesome album, Korn brought back the Family Values Tour in 2013, and Korn would release a music video for their song Spike in My Veins. Korn will begin writing for their 12th album, The Serenity of Suffering, with Head saying it's the heaviest that fans have heard in a while. Yet again, he was right. Have you guys heard Insane, Rotting in Vain? Jonathan Davis, for example, he brought back the scatting thing. He did death growls. Corey Taylor's even featured on this fucking album. It's insane. In 2016, their touring keyboardist would leave. They'd cycle through 2 more keyboardists before acquiring Metallica Rob Trujillo's 12-year-old son. I always say his name wrong. Forgive me for that. In March 2018, Korn did a Japanese tour with the band Deadly Apples and did Vans Warped Tour Japan. Interesting. By the way, Vans Warped Tour Japan, just a whole like new metal thing. It's not even Advanced Warped Tour. I don't know why it's called that. Korn would do a special show for the 20th anniversary of Follow the Leader. I lied, a few of them. Korn would begin working on their 13th album, titled The Nothing. They even recorded demos of Travis Barker, so that has to be a good sign. Korn would release their first single off of The Nothing, titled You'll Never Find Me, which is an awesome song. Shortly after, though, they would release their next single, Cold. We're getting even better. This song slaps. It's probably their heaviest song they've ever done. My personal favorite off the album, though, is Can You Hear Me? That one is phenomenal in terms of Korn's music, I guess. Cold will be released through a virtual concert in the game Adventure Quest, and the game will contain digital merch along with a virtual meet and greets. Sounds kind of lame, but whatever. July of 2020, Korn will team up with Yelawolf for a cover of The Devil Went Down to Georgia, which is honestly really good. COVID, though, would kind of cockblock the Nothing tour. In 2021, Korn would stream a rooftop concert from the set of Stranger Things. Then in May, they would tour Stained, which I went to a show off this tour, so this one brings me back. P.o.d would end up being replaced by Suicidal Tendencies bassist Raw Diaz, and throughout this tour, Jonathan Davis, Monkey, and Ray Luzier would all get COVID at one point, with Jonathan Davis having the worst case where he would be forced to sit down in a custom-made throne for the majority of the show due to his breathing issues. In April of 2021, Korn began working on their 14th album titled Requiem. Requiem was fully written by April of 2021, and in November, they would release a new single titled Start to Healing, which is incredible, by the way. In January of 2022, Korn released their second single off of Requiem, Forgotten, which isn't as strong as Start to Healing. Same with probably everything else off the album. Requiem was released on February 4th, 2022. Korn would release a music video for the song Worse Is On Its Way. Jonathan Davis would confirm they started working on a new album shortly after Requiem. Now I'm sitting here wondering what's taking them so long. Fast forward a couple years. Now we have heads saying there are no plans to release anything in the future. Dicks. Now May of this year, P.o.d stated he doesn't plan on returning anytime soon. Shit. Fuck. Despite the negative news, Korn's still killing it, as they played almost like every fucking festival this year. They're still insanely popular as well. But we're gonna step away from their history. Now that we gone over all that, let's take a minute to talk about their influence on music. So Korn shaped metal with their genre-blending music back in the 90s, fusing funk, metal, and hip-hop, drawing inspiration from bands like Mr. Bungle, Faith No More, and Primus. Now, they sold 40 million albums worldwide and have had 7 platinum releases. They're even tied with Van Halen for the most top 10 rock albums. Think about it. Monkey and Head are tied with Eddie Van Halen. That's one hell of an accomplishment. Korn's debut album would influence bands like Cold Chamber, Limp Bizkit, Slipknot, Machine Head, and Sepultura. Think about it. Sepultura was around longer than Korn, and they were even influenced by Korn. That's nuts. Ross Robinson's career got its start from Korn's first album. Amy Lee from Evanescence drew inspiration from Korn's music too. Without Korn's first album, you wouldn't have $3 Bill by Limp Bizkit. You wouldn't have Roots by Sepultura. You wouldn't have Iowa or Slipknot's self-titled album. Korn redefined the metal genre with their music, paving the way for countless other bands, such as Bring Me the Horizon, Suicide Silence, and Asking Alexandria, who all drew inspiration from Korn's music. And of course, we can't forget about the modern nu metal bands, such as From Ashes to New, Blind Channel, and Three Teeth, just to name a few. Korn would consistently beat pop artists such as Britney Spears and NSYNC. It shows just how good Korn was. Nowadays, you won't ever see a metal or a rock band, for that matter, beat a pop artist. Maybe Imagine Dragons, but they're really, really mainstream, almost pop rock. Anyways, guys, that's all we have for today. I hope you all enjoyed this video. Please leave a like and subscribe for more content. Anyways, catch you in the next one.